Tackling that impossible scene, the one you wonder why you wrote in the first place. Hello and welcome back to my writing journey. I'm Byerrum, a mystery writer who also pens thrillers, children's books, short stories, and plays. And I was a reporter for many years in Washington, D.C., where I often saw tragedy dancing cheek to cheek with a pratfall, inspiration for writing heroes and villains. In these videos, I discuss writing, the news of it, and sometimes chatty gossip, and whatever crosses my mind if it has to do with writing. And even though I write mysteries, my experience can apply to all kinds of writing. Why? Because I believe every good story is a mystery. Who are the characters? What are their motivations? What happens? What is the solution? Why does it need to be written? If we're not asking questions, I don't think it's a good story. If you like that kind of thing, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to make sure you're notified of all the videos. The impossible scene has been on my mind because I have one tormenting me right now. This happens every book. At least one, if not two or three impossible scenes. For me, this is usually a central scene, a big old set piece that is part comedy, part tragedy, and ever compelling. That's the scene that threatens to take you down, possibly because it's overcomplicated, yet it's key to the story. You can run, but you cannot hide from this scene, although some writers try. Some writers skip right over the hard part and come back later after the action has taken place. For instance, a bank robbery. I think skipping the hard part is cheatery. That's my word. When you build a scene and build the anticipation and then refuse to go there, it might be easier on the writer. However, it's not satisfying for the reader to lead them on, to tease them, and leave them unfulfilled, so to speak. It's not fair in my book. I remember reading a mystery that had a whole lot of build-up to a mafia funeral. Or maybe it was a mafia wedding. It was a long time ago. At any rate, the outside world, the reader wanted to know what was up with that. An inside peek. What goes on at an inside the mafia event that might be different or more flavorful or crazier than we expect? Maybe nothing. Well, I'll never know because it wasn't in there. I have been writing a pivotal scene in my next book, These Crooked Things, which is the sequel to Crook Tales for Two. It is set at Thanksgiving in November 1934. It feels intimidating. The action mixes together a variety of people who should not get along. They include my main characters, Esme de la Forêt and Graydon Chase. Several actors, or as Graydon's father puts it, theater people. He's already horrified that his potential daughter-in-law, Esme, is a playwright, a woman of the theater. Other invited lowlifes include a couple of reporters, a producer, and a costume designer. It's a potential disaster for the engaged couple. One of the actors has been hired to portray a paid killer, to frighten a man, and unfortunately that man was actually killed, but not by the actor. Should I make it simpler? Why would I do that? Not my style. Crashing the Thanksgiving dinner is mobster Frank Romeo, Frankie the cat, who's looking to expand his horizons legally now that Prohibition is over. Because I was a reporter in my past, I like to know what was actually happening on Thanksgiving Day in 1934. Prohibition is over and the 10-year-old Macy's Parade was introducing some new Disney character balloons, including Mickey Mouse. But what if something big happens and everybody knows it happened and you've left it out? If you think there was less crime in those days, you would be surprised that crime was still around and flourishing. On Thanksgiving Day, the New York Times front page reported that Babyface Nelson died after being shot multiple times by federal agents. 3 bodies of young girls were found in the woods of Pennsylvania, and a man who could not find work killed himself. The paper also cheerfully put in a chart of 12 public enemies who'd been killed that year, including Bonnie and Clyde, John Dillinger, and pretty boy Floyd, who was not really very pretty. Not only that, I had previously complicated things by making Graydon's parents English aristocracy, and I found out that there was a royal wedding in London on Thanksgiving Day, 1934, not that they cared about our holiday. Nevertheless, I had to read up on that for background and figure out why his parents are in America instead of London. And sometimes you have to plan a scene and choreograph it like a playwright or a director. I'm trying, but let me tell you, I have never spent as much time on planning a Thanksgiving dinner as I have for these crooked things. Also, I hate the overdone trope that Thanksgiving's always a disaster and that someone winds up face down in the turkey or it goes flying around the room. It is, however, an opportunity for comedy without poultry carnage. You can reveal or conceal information without throwing the food around. So what do you do when you face the problem of the impossible scene? Well, you can put it off for a while to think it through. You can do the unexpected. In other words, save the bird, let the comedy fly through the characters, make the dialogue clever without resorting to low comedy. You can take a break and tackle another part of your story. If you skip ahead after the action is resolved, you might figure out the solution to your dilemma and solve it. You can write forward or backwards. You can introduce a new character, another complication, or as Raymond Chandler says, when in doubt, have a man come through the door with a gun in his hand. Of course, it could be a woman with a crossbow or a vial of poison. The point is that these things act as a rest, so you can return to the impossible scene with a fresh mind, which has been working on your problem. I'm still working on mine. In other news, I have also received my ballot for this year's election, and I am filling it out today, and Bob and I will personally put it into the ballot box. Every vote counts, and I cannot stress enough that it's got to be all hands on deck this year, because the people who predict that there will be interference in the election are the ones who are planning the interfering. So vote. And now for a little fun, I'm going to link a video I did a few years ago that asks the pertinent question, can clothing be haunted? So it takes place around Halloween. That's all I have for now. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.